Vlogineers, this is part 2 of our series to Death Valley National Park, and we are going to show you the fun things you can do here. Our first stop of the day is Salt Creek Trail, and this is a half-mile loop on a boardwalk, so it's wheelchair accessible. This might be one of the few places in Death Valley where there's plants, and there's also going to be a creek flowing along the boardwalk. We are now approaching the creek, and this creek is called Salt Creek, so maybe it's salty. Oh, maybe because of the salt flats.
Yeah, there's some salt. Oh, they just talk about the pupfish.
Oh, so the pupfish look playful, but they're not actually playing. They live for 1 year or less, and
that's bad.
And they're in a hurry to feed and breed because they can only live for a short time. The pupfish are sometimes found on Salt Creek, but right now is the winter, so maybe they're not here.
Yeah, I think they come in the spring.
This is where the loop begins. You can choose to go left or right, but we're going to go right because we see one of those information kiosk things. So this is supposed to be an all boardwalk trail, but it seems like it got covered with sand, which means we're going to have to walk on sand now. And now we're back on the boardwalk. This is the halfway point, and here is Salt Creek. I just read this sign, and basically there's like fossilized footprints along Salt Creek that indicate what types of animals went to the creek to drink. So there were camels, primitive horses, lion-sized cats, and mastodons. Please be careful. Salt Creek Interpretive Trail was a very nice short hike. I like how it was mostly on a boardwalk, so you didn't have to like climb over rocks. Also, it was nice to see like plants in the middle of Death Valley, which was kind of unusual. And the creek was kind of small, but great for pictures.
My favorite part was that I got to run.
Please don't run on this trail because sometimes the boardwalk is like chipped and stuff. So it would be unsafe to run, but brother did anyway. The next stop is Mesquite Flat Sand Dunes, and we're going to find some sand dunes to go sandboarding. And I'm wearing glasses because I don't want sand to blow in my eyes.
And the mask helps us so that we don't eat sand.
Oh, let's go to that hill first. For many miles, there's just sand dunes here at Death Valley. It's not all over Death Valley as I first thought. It's only in one small area. But this is my second time sliding down sand, I think. The first time was in New Mexico at White Sands National Park. Yeah, and basically it was the same thing, but the sand was white. So this time we just get regular sand.
Oh, this was steeper than that one.
Here is a great overlook of Mesquite Flat Sand Dunes, and it kind of reminds me of the Arabian Desert. I've never been there, but I want to go there someday.
try this hill since it looks pretty steep. Wow, slippery.
That is all for Mesquite Flat Sand Dunes. So it was a bit of a disappointment, especially if you're trying to sandboard, because even a hill that steep doesn't work. There is a way steeper hill off in the distance, but it's like half a mile away, so we don't want to go there.
Well, half a mile.
Yeah, so if you do want to sandboard, go to White Sands National Park in New Mexico. That one really works, and it's so fun. So yeah, this one was a big disappointment. It's possible that we went to the wrong spot. Like maybe there's another place with steeper hills. But even this looks so steep and that didn't work. So like, I don't know. Maybe this just isn't a good place for sandboarding. It's time to check out Ubehebe Crater. This was formed by an explosion about 2,000 years ago. And the crater is half a mile in width and 500 feet deep. So there's a few trail options. We could either hike along the perimeter of the crater or we could go down. There's also a mini crater that's over there, like probably over those hills. It's called Ubhebie Crater.
We're slide walking. Just be careful, camera recorder.
We're descending 500 feet down to the crater, and hopefully we can come back up because it's pretty steep. It's a very steep trail, so it's like rocky and sandy at the same time. We're kind of just sliding down. Our shoes are so dirty though.
Whoa, it's getting really deep now.
After 10 minutes of sliding down 500 feet, we have made it to the bottom. This is the bottom of Ubehebe Crater, and around us, half a mile of walls. We came down from there. You can see how steep it is. Going down was optional, but going back up is mandatory. So we have no choice but to hike back up 500 feet. This was a pretty fun short hike. Don't do it in the summer because like by the time you get down, the heat will already be on you, and if you don't make it back up, you're dead. So like, yeah, that's Ubehebe Crater. Wow, this is the first time we've been in a crater. It's so cool. Now we are at Mosaic Canyon Trail, which is 1.7 miles each way. And according to this board, the first half mile will be a narrow slot canyon. We visited some cool slot canyons before, and you can watch that video by clicking up here.
Wait, how far away is that?
So far along the trail, we've seen these kinds of patterns on the canyon wall. It's like rocks sticking out, and it kind of creates a mosaic pattern. So maybe that's why they call this place Mosaic Canyon. And by the way, the slot canyon and the narrow section is about to start.
Yeah.
Look at the texture of these rocks, and also the ones up here.
What are these textures?
That's definitely why they call this place Mosaic Canyon. And compared to the other slot canyons, Cathedral Wash, this one is a lot prettier.
This one's so rough and bumpy. See all the big and little rocks? Now I'm gonna slide down the rocks!
We've just finished maybe the first half mile, and the rest, you can see, doesn't look as interesting. So we're going to turn around, but the trail does go on for like a mile or so. Our final stop is Father Crowley Overlook, also known as Star Wars Canyon. The military does fly jets through, which is why it's called Star Wars Canyon. There are no jets today, but that would be cool if we saw one. That is the end of our trip to Death Valley National Park. If you do decide to visit, I recommend staying for 2 to 3 days. We saw pretty much everything that Death Valley has to offer. We went to mountains, sand dunes. The crater was a steep hike. That was nice. And there was even Salt Creek with the plants in the creek. So Death Valley is Death Valley is a very diverse environment. There's also salt flats, the lowest point in North America, the colorful mountains. Everything was pretty cool. Brother, what was your favorite place?
My favorite place was Ubehebe, going down.
Ubhebie Crater?
Going down.
Okay, and that's all.
What's your favorite part?
No. That's
Wow.
That's all. Please hit the subscribe button and remember to look for your own adventure.
Bye-bye.